Welcome to the Thriving Woman Project podcast, hosted by myself, Wendy Griffith. This is the podcast for women who want to level up and thrive in all areas of your life, health, and business. Join us as we cover a range of topics, all inspiring you to thrive and not just survive. We are here to work on the project of you, because I believe the best gift you can give your family and the world is a healthy and thriving you. It's time to thrive. So, hi everybody, and welcome back to episode 5 of season 4 of the Thriving Woman Project podcast. I'm so delighted today to have my amazing friend and business bestie, Joanne Bonnett, here with us today. Joanne and I have known each other for, a long time now. Actually, funny story, I used to really girl crush on Joanne. I used to literally stalk her because we both have wellness businesses with Arbonne, and she was always very much sort of what I would like to call a grande fromage in Arbonne. She had done really well in her business, but having a marketing background like I did, it was finding that person that was similar to me that I could sort of look up to and emulate. And she was that person for me. And slowly but surely, I wore her down. I stalked her so that she had to be my friend. And that was, the rest, as they say, is history. So thank you so much, Joanne, for not only being on today's podcast, but finally being worn down enough to be my friend.
Oh, there was no wearing down. It was an instant thing. Once I knew you existed, that was it. And so, yeah, it's brilliant. We've got some great stories to tell. And thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this podcast. I love it. Honestly, one of my very few I will not miss a single episode podcasts. So thank you for inviting me to do it.
You're too kind. You definitely get the marketing award for putting this podcast out to other people on your social channels. So that's just a little reminder to everyone listening today. I know you're busy. I know it's a pain, but please, won't you take 2 seconds to screenshot this episode or, share my real video onto your stories just to get the word out there and let more amazing women like you, like me, like Joanne, know about this podcast, all designed to help women thrive in all areas of their health, life, and business. So thank you so much. And your reviews on Apple Podcasts just make me cry. So if you want to smudge my mascara some more, please feel free to leave a review. So Joanne, we're going to get right into
straight away. Sorry, women supporting women. This is the whole thing. Let's cheer for each other and support each other. And I love doing that. And I love doing it for you. So.
You are so good at doing that. You are everybody's biggest cheerleader. And you just have to look at your stories. You're always giving people shouts out and always encouraging people. And I think that's very much, who we are as people, but also very much the community that we're in. It's all about, cheering each other on. And I think we live in this world where people are like, oh, that person's really supportive. Like, what do they want? It's like nothing. You just want to see people flourish, and you are so about that. So just I say as long as you want, not quickly, let our listeners know who you are and what you're all about.
So I'm Joanne Bonnett. I was born in the summer of 1969. Do you want me to go faster? I'll go faster.
That's so cool. You literally have a Bryan Adams song after you.
It's one of my theme tunes, absolutely. 24/7 is my birthday. So I kind of written out there before we started that I was going to be nonstop and full on in everything I do. And I always have been. But in terms of business, because this is a Thriving Women project in business and life, I think it's important to know I'm married to Tim. We've been together for 31 years. We have 2 boys, Daniel and Adam. They're 26 and 23. And it's just, that is the most important thing you know about me. But if you know me and follow socials, or we connect in any other ways, you might not see as much of them because they don't really want to be out on that kind of platform. So it does look like it's all about me, but none of me would be me without that fabulous family and support.
I love that.
So yeah, that's me. We share our faith, which is a really important part of who I am, who I was made to be, and the confidence that I get in who I am through that. And from business point of view, my career took an unexpected diversion straight out of uni. I'd studied literature, languages, drama. That was my thing, being a drama queen. And I ended up working. Yeah. I know, it's a shock bell. I ended up working in the IT industry though. So when I left university,
Me too.
yeah, I was living in Wokingham in Berkshire, and that was kind of the epicenter of the software world and the dot-com boom at that time. So software startups, busy, dynamic organizations. We grew some, we sold some, we moved this forward, and I ended up finding myself and my flow working in the marketing, particularly to do with communications, for some pretty good software companies, actually. And that was my corporate career, which was fantastic. But in my 20s, the pace then became pressure. In my late 20s, when I was married and had a baby, then another baby. So that pace was pressure. The success became stressful. And I was looking at making some changes. How could life be different? And I know you're going to ask me about struggles that I overcame. I'm not going to talk about the details of that time, but working, juggling, all the things. And mum died very suddenly. I'd lost my dad a few years earlier, and there was just such an overwhelm. I knew I needed to make some changes. And that's when my Arbonne business, online wellbeing business, came into play. Surprised me. I've been surprised several times by surprised by joy, but surprised by like, oh, here's a new direction. What might this look like? And always been pretty open to going, well, I'm going to follow my instincts on it. So I followed my instincts into this home-based business with skincare, makeup, nutrition, which was not my world, because I was looking for something that would give me the opportunity to be at home with my children, to have a flexible lifestyle, to help other people. And because I'm an Enneagram 3, now we're going to come on to what that might mean in a bit. I didn't know that at the time, but I was very focused. I got on, I worked it. People will say, oh, do these things work? Well, they do when you work them. And I was excited to have the opportunity to do something from home around my kids. So that grew massively. And it's been just 14 years, which astonishes me still. But what happened next is...
And just to say, before we go on to the next part, like, you did reach the highest sort of echelons within the compensation plan within Arbonne. I just really want to give you that credit because, a lot of people will think certain things around, network marketing businesses. Oh, do they really work? And, the percentages. But I think of this for anything in life. Like, you don't have, millions and millions of gold medalists for a reason, because it's reserved for the top percent who really apply the skills, the training, the expertise. And you did. And you became one of the top 1% of people within the network marketing industry. So I just really want to credit you with that, because that is no mean feat to do that. So
no, you're right. It takes work and it takes effort, and I love doing it. And I was very fortunate. Well, not fortunate. I worked hard and earned some global awards through that as well. And I will never be anything but grateful and delighted for everything that I've learned and that came through doing that. But things started to change, and I know lockdown was kind of a factor, but my boys were growing and grown kind of, and I was struggling with perimenopause. I know this is a big topic that you're talking about now, and even just sort of 3-4 years ago, when this started to become a thing for me, it was very hard to find information about what the heck was going on in this sharp, dynamic brain of mine that suddenly felt like it was full of cotton wool and nothing was working. So one of the things I decided to do were 2 things in lockdown. The first thing was just a side project, which is that situation forced me to go, I'm going to stop dyeing my hair. I've had silver grey in my hair since I was about 16 and been dyeing it. Spent way too much money sorting my roots out and trying to cut that up. And lockdown, it was just like, do you know what? What if what's under here is actually worth seeing? And so I started this little Instagram page called Jobo Silver Linings.
I laugh when you say little Instagram page, because it's now grown into a global phenomenon.
It started as a way of me keeping track of what I was doing. And you talked about community, and I think that's so key. There are a lot of amazing people in the world, and I always choose to seek them and to find that community where we can cheer each other on. So I think if you're the kind of person who's a cheerleader for other people, you're going to find other cheerleaders and communities out there. So this Silver Sisters, hashtag Silver Sisters, is a real thing. And that Instagram page, which was never about business, was just about silver hair, has become quite the thing. And that was going on at the same time as my brain was turning to mush. And I'm quite action oriented. So I thought, well, if my brain cells are disappearing, what can I do to sort them out? I didn't know at that point that, about the HRT options or some of the other things that I've explored since. But I thought, use it or lose it. I need to study something. I need to actually put this mind to work. And something that I'd been fascinated about for years was something called the Enneagram, system of personality, understanding who we are, who others are, how we connect, relationships, the motivations behind what's driving who we are. And I've been hearing about it everywhere. It's an ancient system, but I decided to study it for my own mental well-being, really, and never intended it to be a business. But the more I found out about it, the more I got involved in seeing the personal transformations that people are having by just looking at their life through a slightly different lens and being aware that maybe other people are also looking at their lives through a slightly different lens. So we can connect and understand, create compassion and curiosity. It's led this to being such a passion that it's like, I can't not share this more. And I felt compelled to do more with it. And I think I'll talk a little bit later when I was, where I was last year this time and where I am now. But that business of the working with the Enneagram is up and running. It's thriving. It's bringing me joy, and the silver lining stuff also, and the Enneagram stuff. And working with you is just giving a whole new dimension to what I can do in this busy life of mine. So yeah, that's a little bit about who I am and what I'm doing. I also love singing at the top of my voice, often with a wooden spoon in my hand in the kitchen. I sing in church.
Jo, why do you think I got myself a microphone? I mean, it's probably not even switched on right now, but I just love having a microphone in front of my mouth. So there you go.
I need to get the proper
You
microphone.
need to get one. It's so funny. So my daughter had her birthday party this previous weekend, and I got SingStar for them because we've got like the SingStar mics and stuff, and we ordered some like Disney ones, which was really hard to find because our PlayStation is so old. Anywho, I digress. My husband goes out to help one of my friends with a flat tire, and he goes out and everyone's standing there and they were like, "Oh, who's on the mic now?" He's like, "Guess." I've only commandeered the microphone from the 7-year-old's birthday party, and I'm singing Miley Cyrus at the top of my voice. So yes, I think singing.
When I was a student, you're coming to the things people might not know. I'm just going to throw in one for fun now. One of my jobs when I was a student was the early days of karaoke. I was paid to be a karaoke warm-up act. So there was a guy who used to go around clubs and bars doing karaoke. And during my Christmas holidays, I got paid to go and just basically start singing, get everyone going. And,
honestly, that would have been my dream job. That is so much better than the tequila girl that I was with my holsters that I had. Seriously, the things we do.
We can both have fun.
The things we do for money. Anyway, focus. Yeah. So thank you for that introduction. And I love the fact that you said first and foremost that your family comes first. And I think so many women listening to this podcast right now will be in the same boat of, family is the priority, but the life stuff takes over. And we're dealing with all the, physical, mental stuff that's happening to us as women. So I think it was so beautifully laid out how you sort of explained how things, and also just the seasons and the evolutions. And just because you've always done one thing doesn't mean you have to do that forever. You can evolve, you can change, you can, I've had so many reinventions in the past decade. I can't even recognize myself, but it's all good. So tell me, as a very busy woman, and I know you and me love to be busy, but, busy being productive, not busy fools. What are your 3 top tips for thriving in your busy life?
Yeah. Okay. So I have made notes because otherwise I could go off on lots of different things. And number one is get organized. Now, most people would look at me and see my life and they say, I don't know how you do all you do. And yeah,
we do what we do.
We just do it. But getting organized is, yeah. So I have a paper diary, and I have had paper diary. I use something called a passion planner. And I literally write down in that everything that I'm doing, because I need to see it visually. I need to be able to have pages in front of me that I can look at and go, right, what's going on in my diary, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where am I each day? But that doesn't work if you've got an online calendar and online meetings and other things like that, or I'm out and about with my phone. So I do duplicate that into an online diary. And then that means that, you know, my assistant, or which is a new thing actually, and my husband can also see some of that stuff.
What, your husband is your assistant? No, I'm joking.
Well, I mean, yeah, maybe. I think it works both ways. So I have an online diary, a paper diary, and also the all-important scribble it on the wall, you know, on the wall family planner, which now only really has 2 of us on it, because the boys have grown up, and so I'm in that season of the empty nest. But yeah, having that, okay, what are we doing together as a family on the wall is really important. And to-do lists. I love a to-do list. I even more love a ta-da list, which is the list of where I write down all the things I have done. So when I'm beating myself up that not everything's crossed off my to-do list, I can see that actually there's been a lot that has got done today. So that's the number one, get organized. Because when you see it, you can plan it. And also I would include, moving into point 2, time in your diary to switch off. So switch off to switch on. I've learned that you can go, but if you don't stop at some point and find time for things that really matter, then that's when burnout starts to happen. So I am good when I'm present with my family, when I'm out and about. I do get picked up on this. Of course, I'm not perfect when there's things going on, but it's switching my phone off, taking time out with family and friends to find the fun and the laughter and the connection in life. I also have realized more in recent years that as much as I love being with people, if I'm with a lot of people for a lot of time, it's really draining for my energy.
Me too.
Solitude and space for myself is really important. And that might be, you know, some exercise, some movement, a walk, reading a book, but also just sometimes just allowing myself to be. And that moves into the ultimate switch off is prioritizing sleep. If I don't get enough sleep, goodbye everything else. So switch off. And the third point is, you know, we've talked about this already, the cheerleaders and cheering people on, but find your tribe. You know, if you are busy in life, in anything, you know, there are communities out there that you can connect with. You know, I've been fortunate to have some really close friends that have been with me for many years. I went to 9 schools on 3 different continents. So over time, I know we both had moved around a bit. So over time, you know, I haven't necessarily got the friends that go back to being very young, but therefore my cousins are important to me. And then I've got a group of church friends. We have a monthly supper club that there's 8 of us girls that go out every month. Some of my local mum friends that I met when Daniel, who's 26, was 2, when they're at nursery.
Oh my gosh.
And go out together. And our kids are grown up, but we've supported and cheered each other on. And of course, in business, you know, the people that are doing what you're doing, the people that have done what you want to do, and the people that can cheer and support you on. And I think, you know, we've talked about our friendship and how that's grown and how we've had so many synergies and reasons why we can be here for each other. And, you know, so your Thriving Biz Club, it's been key to me being able to go from 1 business to 3 in a year, to setting up some support behind the scenes that allows me to do what I'm better at, which is being upfront and out there and letting someone else take this behind the scenes stuff. So 3 things: get organized, switch off to switch on, and find your tribe.
I love that. Those are such brilliant tips. I literally have nothing more to add to that because that was absolute perfection. And thank you for what you said about the Thriving Biz Club, because that has been something that has evolved organically over the past years. You've been a part of that, one of the founding members. And it just truly gives me life every day to see women in their wellness businesses thriving and going after their goals. And this is the thing, we can all find the thing that we're good at helping people to do. And one of my superpowers is helping others shine. Like, I don't want to be in the limelight, but I'm happy to throw other people into the limelight and help them to find their voice. So thank you for trusting me with that. And thank you for being such an amazing member of that community. And on that note, we're just going to take a few seconds to hear from our sponsor.
Do you feel overwhelmed or just a bit stuck with how to market your online business? Maybe you've dabbled a bit or you've followed various advice you've gleaned online, but something is still not clicking for you. If you're feeling unsure about how to reach your ideal clients so that you can serve and help them like you were called to do, then you may want to check out my Thriving Biz Club. This is my program for wellness business owners who are destined to grow a thriving online business. In it, we cover topics like branding and speaking to your ideal customer, selling on social media, creating your first automated funnel, and nurturing your growing online audience through email marketing. But what makes this extra special is the community and accountability that comes with it. Join us for ongoing support with our monthly coaching and co-working sessions, as well as our WhatsApp community where we share for accountability and take inspiration from others. We also become your personal cheerleaders in business. The Thriving Biz Club is the program I've created that I wish I'd had when I first started my business over a decade ago. To learn more, go to the link in the show notes of this episode, because you deserve to create a healthy, sustainable, and thriving online business without the stress and hustle.
So welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of episode 5 here on season 4 of the Thriving Woman Project podcast. Now, we've talked about, who Joanne is and her 3 top tips for thriving in a busy life, which were brilliant, by the way. Thank you. I feel like I need to get that on a PDF for people. But now I just want to change gears a little bit and ask you about a time in your life where you really struggled and how you overcame this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's a pattern here, and I started to recognize it, that when overwhelm comes, there's challenging stuff going on. I have had a history of several burnouts. One of them led to some big changes in my life. One of them led to me changing my career, and both of those were around, my dad died at 58 when I was in my 20s with a 9-month-old baby, working full time. And that prompted some changes into when my work changed. But I'm very good at putting a lid on my own emotions and my own stuff, because I need to get stuff done and get out there again. People listening may not know what it means to be an Enneagram 3, but that is a real pattern for me. I need to not let everyone see the stuff going on behind the scenes so that I can get out there and look after everyone else and do all the things. So that happened when my dad died, and then 8 years later, my mum died. And I'm not asking for pity in those situations. Everyone has different stuff to deal with through life, and that was very hard. But from that, it was a wake-up call. And it prompted me to get out of the corporate career that was draining me and do something different. So, my life might look very different today if those things hadn't happened. I wish they hadn't, but here we are. But more recently, a year ago, I recognized that same kind of feeling coming on again. We were going in, it was, of course, lockdown. And I think many people were affected by all the challenges around that. But I quite literally this time last year, I was looking at the beginning of November 2022, I had been studying this Enneagram thing, but my training had stalled. I was procrastinating on everything. I was in a place that people don't often see on the social media highlight reels. So, we all do it. I know I do it, and I don't want to do it because I want to show up authentically, but there's also a point of sharing from your scars rather than your wounds actually has a much more...
I so agree.
But also, I want to avoid that toxic positivity where that is just all about good stuff. So I was on the sofa a lot of the time. I was struggling with some personal stuff that had gone on a very long time ago that I knew I needed to deal with. Doing Enneagram work did help me to go deeper into who I am and why. menopause and health stuff just wasn't quite sorted. I needed to take some effort on that. I'd hurt my shoulder, I'd hurt my knee, there was some physical stuff. There was an empty nest. And
that was your body telling you that it was time to deal with the emotional stuff.
Absolutely.
Our bodies have a fun way of doing that.
I was being wiped out by migraines every few weeks. So my physical health, my mental health, my emotional state were challenged. My training and the thing that I thought that I wanted to do to move my life forward into a new phase, I just was stuck. And my business that I'd put so much time, love and joy and effort into over the years had really flatlined. And that was down to me. That wasn't anything to do with the business. Things were changing, but it was that I knew I wasn't showing up in a way that would promote growth and whatever. So an absolute funk. And I knew that this is where I'd been before. Now, we often have down times. We have days and periods where, life is up and down. It's all a roller coaster, isn't it? And I think the balance is trying to find that the highs don't get too high and the lows don't get too low, and you don't stay there for too long. So I knew I had to make some changes because one of my favorite quotes, people may get bored from hearing this, but I can't say it often enough, is St. Catherine of Siena, be who you were created to be and you'll set the world on fire. Definitely wasn't setting the world on fire. And I definitely forgotten that the first part of that sentence is be who you were created to be. So I needed to do some work on who I really was. And what was one of the things so what did I do? Because a year later, things look very different. I now have 3 businesses up and running. My mental, emotional, spiritual health and relationships are in a massively different place. In fact, probably in one of the best places I've been for a long time. I completed the Enneagram training. I'm a certified practitioner. And actually my mentor that was coaching and supporting me in that, we're now in business together, doing work in corporates and business workshops, one-to-one work, coaching work across the UK, US as well. So it's
amazing. So proud of you.
Yeah, and my Arbonne business is now something that is bringing me joy again. I'm excited to connect and share because I love everything it stands for. And the empty nest, still empty, but my boys are thriving. And as a mum when they were younger, we have this whole thing, raising boys. And someone once wisely said to me, well, it's all good raising boys, but, you really want to raise good men. And as a feminist and as a woman who's been in a male-dominated world for a lot of my life, I was adamant that I'm going to raise some good men there. And so far, I couldn't be prouder.
You really have. They are such a credit to you and Tim. And also, you guys have been adventuring this year. I mean, you went to see your son over in China and you did a whole trip there and you're always gallivanting. I love it.
Well, that was a business trip, actually, because that's my husband's
You always
business.
say that, but I'm like, you didn't look like you were doing business. You look like you were having so much fun.
We visited 9 factories in 2 weeks. I think we're in 7 cities. We had planes, trains, and automobiles and ferries non-stop. So yes, we were seeing Daniel, who's living and teaching out in Shenzhen. And we've got an office out there this is my husband's business, but I am involved with that as well.
Of course you are.
So that was a completely different thing. But how did I get from there to here? Because I think that's the thing, is it's really easy to go, oh yeah, and then this happened. And it wasn't easy. But the hardest thing for me was actually to start with going, I need some help, asking for help, and acknowledging that, I was struggling. I couldn't just keep putting a lid on things and go, oh, just keep going and keep going. So I asked for help. I recognized my own advice above about getting more sleep and finding solitude, also moving, things that I committed to. I found a local Pilates reformer studio. I love Pilates reformer, but I've never done it, committed to it. So I now go twice a week and I'm stronger and more flexible. And I love, actually, that's another little community of people that I see every week, a couple of times, and I love it. I had some professional counseling and coaching for a number of things. And being around that tribe like you and the people that are cheering you on and focusing on what I can do and counting my blessings. And of course, the number one thing for me in all this is just to give myself some grace, to just
Amen.
breathe and say, I'm loved, I'm okay.
I think something that has always resonated for me is that often as women, we're striving for the next thing. And I think for me, it's that recognition that you will never be more worthy of love and success and all the good things that you deserve than you are in this very moment right now. And when you can truly understand that and latch on to that, even in your darkest times, it makes such a difference. And just listening to you talk there, I mean, besides being incredibly proud of you and everything that you've overcome in the last year, I really resonate with everything you've said, because it was actually us having a call at the end of October where we both went, oh my gosh, remember where we both were? Because we were, your story is not dissimilar to my story. And I have shared about this on social media and in my email newsletter recently about, a year ago being in a really difficult place in my business. And like you, had a number of personal circumstances and things that it impacted. And I think, as you say, it's starting with those baby steps. It's focusing on gratitude and being really grateful for the little things. And then once you start to be grateful for the little things, you start to see the bigger things. And, your mindset changes. And that's the key. Your mind's in a funk. So you're like, how do you get it forward? Gratitude. Start with gratitude for what you are grateful for. And I saw this quote the other day, which I think a lot of mums will resonate with. And I think especially with everything going on in the world right now, that if you tucked a healthy child into a warm bed with a full tummy last night, you are winning the lottery of life. And
absolutely shivers.
Exactly. Like, it just gives you such perspective on all we have to be grateful for.
Absolutely. So gratitude is key. It's not always easy though. And
The hard stuff isn't always the easiest stuff, but it is worth working through that stuff. And like you, I'm a big fan of professional counseling. I think, talking therapy or, there's different types of therapy, but for me, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, worked really well. And just having a sounding board, because you don't always want to go necessarily to your friends and sort of complain and share your woes. But also, I think working with a professional gives you a really constructive way, just as working with a coach. So, I'll have people come to me and say, oh, I'm struggling with marketing my business and this and all that. And I'll be like, okay, right, what is working? And, getting people to flip it to say, right, what can we focus on in terms of the positive? And it's not the toxic positivity, because I'm with you on that. I hate all that. But I do think it's about, what you can do to move things forward. Because there's always something, no matter how small, there's always something you can do.
Okay, so I'm going to take it to it is a Bible verse, but they're finding the joy in all circumstances. And joy is not all about tiny happy stuff with the icing on top and the sugar coating, but it's a deeper thing that even in the hardest times, look for the joy. And I think that probably my superpowers is I'm really good at looking for the joy, at finding it. That's why my Instagram is called Silver Linings, Joy by Silver Linings, because I somehow always manage to find one. And that's what we focus, because what we focus on grows.
It does. And so one of the things I know that brings you great joy, which I just want to talk about today because I'm obsessed and it's something you need to teach me, is your passion for making sourdough bread. Can we just talk about that for a moment? Have I got any breadies in the house with me today? Like, I just look at women like you who bake their sourdough. My friend Nat as well, she does it. And and I'm just like, can you imagine if I could bake bread like that?
Party. I saw everyone doing this in lockdown, and actually I was like, all these people are furloughed and they've got loads of time in lockdown. I was super busy.
I was crazy busy in lockdown.
But I had a lovely friend, Daniela, who used to bring me sourdough bread. We would meet for a walk outside in the
6
fresh
feet
air.
apart.
Yeah. And she brought me a loaf of sourdough, and honestly, what a gift. And eventually I said to her, you're going to have to show me how to make this. So Daniela and her friend Nina and I got together at Nina's house, and Nina's from Kazakhstan originally, showed me her grandmother's traditional way of making sourdough and gave me some. And it's only probably been a few months now, but I'm making.
But you're like all in. Like, I love this about you. I mean, you've got like those big flour sacks that you only see in the movies, and you also go around gifting bread to people to cheer them up as well. That's like your favorite thing. You're like, oh, I'm just going to go drop a loaf off. I'm like, okay, bye.
Yeah, and I'm starting to think, I don't know if I can keep up with all of this, so I need to be balanced. But I try and make 2 or 3 at a time, and I've got different ways of doing it. So sometimes there's one in the freezer, and that's the thing is, I love being generous and I love gifting stuff, but it's not all about the material stuff. If you knew how much time and effort and how many days it takes the process to make a loaf of sourdough bread, if you ever get given one, you know that is a real gift of love. But also, it does tie in with some of the taking control of my nutrition, eating more healthily, and that all feeds into it. And so it's a way that I can eat bread without it having a plan.
And I think as well, when you have a busy brain like you and I do, actually the art of doing something is a form of relaxation. So doing something, creating something, like I find cooking very therapeutic. I know a lot of people don't. Baking, on the other hand, stresses me out. So cooking is my jam. I just throw in whatever I want. Last night I made this really kind of spur of the moment. We didn't have much in the house, sort of pork, rice dish that it turned out brilliantly. And I was like, I'll never be able to replicate that because it was just on a whim. I could probably get quite close again. But yeah, I just find it really relaxing.
It's like a meditation. So I love, it means that I can switch off. I can be in solitude. I can be on my own. I can have some quiet space. I can be, I
put my earphones in. So I've got quiet.
I like the quiet, and I'm making bread, and it feels quite primal, almost going back.
I was going to say, I feel like it maybe feels when I'm in my veggie garden, like when you actually harvest your vegetables, you feel, and you make your salad from your salad leaves, and you're just like, oh, look at me. Yeah. I also always think about how much I would starve if I was a genuine farmer, because it is actually such a process to grow your own food.
It is. I started a bit of that as well this year, but anyway, it's all good. So you were going to ask me about something that people might not know about me. Am I right?
I am. I feel like we've covered a couple of topics already, but look at how she's taking over the interview, people. Like she's like, right, let's move this along. No, you're fine. So tell us, is there anything left that we don't know about you?
Yes. I'm not going to touch on this one. Number one, I played Sally Bowles in Cabaret on stage, and that was a dream for me. And once I'd done that, everything else paled into insignificance. So that was 20 years ago.
Wow, love it.
Other things that people don't know about me, and I haven't talked about this. If you're a friend and you're close to me, you will know, but it's not something I've shared a lot on social media. But I'm starting to think that when I do talk about this, people are really curious. And I know that I have you to thank for just going, just a thought. I was diagnosed with ADHD in January this year, formally diagnosed. That was some of the stuff that was going on last year. And honestly, at one point I was really terrified of this idea. I was then very resistant, and now I'm actually very grateful that I have this deeper and better understanding of how and why my brain works the way it does, my body works the way it does, and why also actually it's been quite interesting for some of my friends who've looked at me and gone, how the heck do you do all the things you do? To go, well, because
superpower.
But the other thing is, because I'm such an overachiever in so many areas, I scored 10 out of 10 on the hyperactivity part of ADHD.
That does not surprise me.
Which will surprise no one. I tell people this and they go, oh, really? Oh, yeah, it kind of figures. And then what people might not be so aware of, and this is the other thing, is I also scored 10 out of 10 on the inattentive, which is the part where I zone out, where I find it hard to engage, where overwhelm hits, where...
Me too.
The stuff that is not on the highlight reels, the bits where I go quiet and where I'm finding it a challenge to really engage, connect. And that is why, I'm sharing this, because whatever people's stories are that are listening, you don't see everything that we put out there, because, we all have this other part of us. And I'm starting to recognize that is as much a part of me as all the up and out there Jobo stuff that people will see. and being authentic and a bit more honest without talking specifically about ADHD, what that means, because honestly, I'm still figuring it out, is giving me, it's big for me to share this. It's the first place that I have shared this publicly, really, Wendy. So that is something people might not know. But if there are people out there who have some questions or are curious, I've found that we've created another little community. Funny that it seems to be something that I do where, Siobhan and I started a WhatsApp group a year or so ago. And I think we've got about 20, 30 people in there, women in similar stages, exploring this and supporting and cheering one another on. So again, another way.
It's an amazing community. And I think, thank you so much for being open with that. I know I have touched on my, I suppose, struggles, challenges, and how I'm overcoming my sort of ADHD journey, although you never overcome your ADHD journey because this is the way we were born. This is the way our brains were made. And so it's learning how to embrace that and how to leverage that. And I think what you and I have certainly both seen is that where we've got to a really low place in our life a year ago, it's saying, okay, how can we harness our superpowers? How can we, delegate or, get rid of some of the things that are not bringing us joy and that are not and keeping us in our zone of excellence? And how can we do more of the stuff that we're really good at? And that's where both of us have then started to thrive and flourish because we are focused on. And I know not everybody, maybe, you might have a job or, not a business that you can sort of flex and do the things that you want to do. But at the same time, I think there's always ways. And certainly when I look back to my corporate career days, I recognize, a number of the things I really did struggle with and the challenges I had in a corporate environment. If I was there now, I would absolutely be flagging that with my manager and getting support with those things. Whereas 10 years ago, that wouldn't have been a reality. And as a result, I ended up walking away from a corporate career that I was really good at, like you, Joanne. But I just wasn't thriving. I wasn't happy and it hit that burnout just like you. And I can totally resonate with those periods of burnout. It's quite an ADHD thing every few years to hit that burnout point. But I'm actually determined now and I'm so much more aware of when I'm starting to struggle and to take myself away and the solitude and what I need to support myself. So I am getting much better. And my hope is that those burnouts become less and less over the years and that I continue to flourish and thrive. But thank you so much. I learned of my ADHD through listening to a podcast where someone was vulnerably sharing their story like you have today. And you'll have no idea the impact you sharing that will have had on other people's lives. So thank you so much for that. Now, before we finish off for today, where can my amazing, wonderful community find you?
Oh, well, there's lots of places that I show up, but I would say you'll probably put in the show notes. So Instagram is where on the Jobo Silver Linings, so Jobo _silver _linings, whatever. That's the Instagram page. But I've actually started a new newsletter, a weekly newsletter called Midweek Mojo, Mojo with Jobo. Thank you for your support with this. And if you want to have a weekly dose of a little bit of inspiration, talking about the real life stuff with midlife, some well-being things, I'll probably throw in a smidgen of silver, and those kind of healthy pro-aging messages where positivity around.
We need lots of those.
Yeah, and also I'm probably going to start touching on some of the stuff with the Enneagram, but it's really just a conversational place. I've had some amazing feedback from the first.
No, your inbox is blown up this week. It's brilliant.
So yeah, if you want to pop the link, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I will put all of Jo's links to her website and Instagram and her amazing Midweek Mojo with Jobo. I love that. Into the show notes for you. But thank you so much for coming on today. I just knew you would be such an incredible guest to have at this midpoint of season 1 of the podcast. Season 4 rather. You'd be such a great midpoint of this because this is all, real, raw, but also the thriving and, looking at the positives and what we can do to move our lives forward and thrive in all areas of our health, life, and business. So I hope you agree that Joanne has been an absolutely perfect guest for that, as has our previous guest, Sahar. And I'm so excited to hear from you from another amazing guest before the end of this season 4. But for now, I'm going to love and leave you to have a wonderful day or night or whenever it is that you're listening to this. And thank you so much once again, Jo. Love you so much. Mwah.
Love you too. Thank you. Keep shining.
Thank you for joining me for today's episode. If you've got value from this, please won't you take 2 seconds to take a screenshot and share a pic of this episode on your socials. Extra points if you'd like to rate and review this podcast on your preferred platform so that we can share the love with more women wanting to thrive in their lives. Do be sure to visit my website, wendygriffith.co.uk, to get all my free resources to support you on your thriving journey. Until next time, God bless, take care of yourself, and keep thriving.